What do you think is the role of streamers when it comes to FM, especially in situations like this one? Oh boy. Football Manager 26 has seen unbridled optimism crash into a wild new UI full of bugs and debate about whether the game is headed in the right direction. Of course, being the guy that makes a lot of Football Manager videos, even though my opinion is no more valuable than any of yours, I have been caught in the middle. So I have agreed to do a Reddit AMA and ask me anything on the Football Manager Reddit, and you've had 24 hours to submit questions to that post that I will now answer. This is me answering your questions about FM26. Like it was probably obvious from the top. Okay, let's start. What is the absolute worst feature in FM26 in your opinion, and why? And there's already replies to all these comments, so I'll try and read some of those as a part of this video. The lone screen would like a word. Oh, I think you already said the new training screen is terrible and the worst screen in any FM game. I feel like I should probably open FM26 for this, so let me crack that. I mean, there are a couple of screens on Football Manager that are diabolically bad, and training is absolutely one of them. The training screen is just horrific. I don't know what they were thinking when you try to this whole visually, it just takes a lot of effort to figure out what the hell is going on here. And when you redesign a UI to make it better, that is the exact opposite of what you want. I actually haven't even looked at the lone screen because I'm managing a team in the second division of Uruguay. So we haven't involved ourselves with loans yet. Huh? But what is the worst feature? I'll try to actually answer the question. So what are the features of Football Manager 26 right now, and what is the worst one? The answer is the UI. The UI is one of the biggest features of this Football Manager, and it's just very obvious to me whether it's training or loans or different screen. There are screens that have just not been fully quality tested. So that's my answer there, just right off the bat. Yes, the training screen is just plain bad. What do you think is the most hidden useful feature, hidden feature, aka the best thing you think most people haven't found yet? Personally, I've really enjoyed exploring the nooks and crannies of Football Manager 26 so far because I'm such a nerd for the little things that they put in the game that allow you to do things that maybe most people don't find. I actually made a video about this. I don't know if it's out yet or if it's just going to come out a couple of days after this video is released, but I think the most useful feature that people maybe haven't found yet is that in the transfer room, when you're trying to offer out players, you can go through the different opportunities that are listed. And on those opportunities, when you click on them, it will tell you players that are on your team that match that requirement. And then you can go here and offer them out instantly. So where the UI obviously is diabolically bad in some areas, this is a very good quality of life, ease of use, easy explanation sort of situation. That's super cool. There's also probably my favorite one. I just didn't pick it as the first one because it's so insignificant. When you go to registration, there's now sections on the side. So if I just want to see the foreign players that are in, the under 21 players or the club trained players or whatever, and filter everybody else out instantly, you just have to click on that section on the left side of registration. That's a really cool thing. I don't know why they didn't do that earlier, but it's nice. So when you go to transfer room out and click on opportunities, your director of football or GM will tell you players that match what those clubs are looking for, and then give you the chance to offer those players to that club. It's a way more realistic feeling transfer offering experience that I actually really like. Nice! Do you consider it an overall upgrade from FM24? If you had to play only one, which one would you play? If you're telling me if I had to play FM26 right now or FM24 as I just left it, I'm picking FM24 pretty convincingly. There just is not enough going right for FM26 right now for me to commit to wanting to play on that right now. It's a different question though. Like if I only had to play one, I would pick FM24. But is FM26 an upgrade? Yes. It's an upgrade in a sense where I think Football Manager 24 is about as good as we were going to get in the engine that it was in. And then what's happened is Football Manager's taken a step this direction, but into a column where there's a lot more potential, right? It's the same as, let's say you have a player that is 2.5 stars, 2.5 star potential. So they're better right now, but their potential is kind of capped out. Now we're going to a player that has 1.5 stars or 2 stars, but 4 or 5 star potential, right? Long term, I'm going to want to ride with this player because I'm an optimist. They don't have, they've got a solid personality, good developmental traits, right? But if I had to choose between these two and what I would rather play for the rest of my life, if I had to pick one of these two, I'm going to take the 2.5-star player, and that's FM24, which I guess isn't a surprise because of how refined FM24 was. It was a good game. It was an ode to Football Manager in a lot of ways. It had some issues, but not nearly as much as FM26 has. But yeah, there's two answers to your question. How do I distill that into a written answer? I think FM26 is an upgrade on the potential of the game, but if I had to choose one to play for the rest of my life, I would choose FM24 right now over what FM26 is right now. That's the truth. Send, Shag, Marry, Avoid. Miles Jacobson, Lelujo, Graham Potter. Finally, some hard-hitting questions. I would like to shag Lelujo because I don't want to marry him because then I'd have to put up with him for longer. I would marry Graham Potter because he is making a lot of money from all of the clubs that have fired him. And I would avoid Miles because he probably doesn't want to talk to anybody right now anyways. Probably definitely not me. So I'll make it easier for both of us. We'll just avoid each other. Shag Lelujo so I don't have to deal with him for longer. Marry Graham Potter for the money. Avoid Miles because he probably wants to be left alone right now. There you go. In your opinion, do you think the console market is big enough to compete with PC? Also, with the rumors of the console version basically being the same as PC in terms of features, is it time to really sync the games, FFP talking to the players, etc.? I don't know what FFP talking to the players, etc. means, but yeah. So this actually sparked a giant debate. You had people pointing out that only 25% of the player base is on PC, while people were making counter arguments that that's because it's free on Game Pass and free on Netflix for people that play on their phones. So there might be just a lot of people poking around in the game for 5 minutes. Then some people mentioning that, well, actually, it's a gateway drug on console, so that's why they're encouraging it. And really just a lot of back and forth debate. I think at the end of the day, Football Manager is trying to tap into markets outside of PC gaming, which I think is a little bizarre because Football Manager doesn't really, at least the way that it approaches building itself as a game, think of itself as a gaming product. It thinks of itself as a football product, a soccer product instead of a video game. But they do seem to really be headed in that direction. I mean, just today, they released that thing on their website that mentioned, hey, maybe try playing the game with a controller. I think it is very, very, very clear that Sports Interactive's goal is to make their UI accessible on multiple platforms. This is no longer a game that is being designed PC first. It is a game that is being designed multi-platform first. I think that the console market is way bigger than PC truthers like me want to think that it is. In places like Indonesia, where they play a ton of Football Manager, it is typically through the Netflix gaming store. Now, gaming on Netflix is something that feels completely foreign to me, but is apparently incredibly popular with people that play Football Manager and the mobile and console versions. I think at least between console and PC, we are headed towards a world where cross-platform compatibility is in the very near future. Is that a bad thing? Only if they make the game worse in order to allow it. And I know there's a lot of people that make the argument they've made the UI way worse in order to make it compatible with controllers and stuff. I hope, maybe naively, that it is possible to make a great UI and a great game experience for people to play on PC while also allowing a lot more people to play the game. I realize there's a counter argument in here, which is, well, you just want more people to play the game at any cost because, you make Football Manager content, and the more people that watch it, the better it is for you. Which, I mean, I make a lot of content that doesn't have anything to do with Football Manager, and the game wasn't out for a couple years, and I was still doing A-okay, just fine, right? I just went to the Football Manager World Cup and saw, really for the first time, front row seat, I was exposed to the different communities, the different large communities that play Football Manager that I didn't know existed by just hanging out on stream and hanging out in this subreddit. There's the majority of people that play and enjoy Football Manager do it in silence, far away from the community that we're engaging with right now. I think SI clearly believes that platforms outside PC are where their future is. I just hope they're able to make a game that's good for PC players that also makes the game more playable for all the people on console and mobile. I do think the majority of people that play FM do so very far away from places like the Reddit, so it's hard to judge how they feel about everything. Send. I haven't bought the game yet and don't plan to do so until I'm 100% sure it's worth it. How long do you think it will take to fix the issues raised by the many fellow managers on this sub? because some of these bugs look absolutely terrible at first glance. Honestly, I think it's going to take a year. I know it's not what anybody wants to hear. I think Football Manager 26 is a full year beta, basically. And when we hit Football Manager 27, we're going to get a game that feels like it's been properly quality tested and bug tested and everything, right? It is a game that they clearly did not build for 2 years. It is a game that was built as a reaction to how poorly things went with FM25. And it's been a mess from the start. And I think there is a benefit to SI just releasing the mess at some point and allowing themselves to sort it out over a year. But it also sucks. Is it worth it? Depends on how many hours you plan on putting into it anyways. It's obviously worth it for somebody like me who's going to play it for thousands of hours regardless. You could hand me a literal dumpster fire and I would play it for thousands of hours. I am SI's dream customer in that way. But it will take a long time for all of these bugs to be fixed. I mean, I'm under no illusion that in 10 days of the beta, all of a sudden this is all going to be polished. Probably a year. I'm under no illusion that they are all going to be fixed over the course of a 10-day beta. I think the FM26 cycle is the beta, and that it will take them a while to get all the little things right since they had to rebuild everything. It sucks, but here we are. If you're an addict like me, then might as well get it. If you have amazing patience, wait a year or at least until March when another big update hits. Do you know when it's likely that the game will be able to add skins? I know it's not possible now, but is there a time frame? Will you be releasing a new version of Nugan as well? And most importantly, are you going to sue New Zealand for plagiarizing your name? Yes, that legal case has been in the courts for quite a while. We're awaiting the outcome. As for the skins, I have no idea. I mean, I would have no more idea than you would, and that's the honest truth, right? I mean, obviously, I got early access to the alpha, and there are the contracts that go into that and stuff, but outside of that, I'm not getting, fed some stuff outside of the odd leak here or there, which I then make the decision about whether to release or not. So no, I don't have some sort of back-end knowledge of a 3-year time frame that there's going to be a skins allowed at this time. I think the UI is fundamentally at a core level different than it was, so I will say I don't think skinning is ever going to be the same. As for Nugan, we really have to sit down with the team that put it together to see if we're able to access the back end in the same way. If not, it's going to be a situation where we have to figure out if it is possible with the new game, the new way that the game is set up, and then if it is possible, we're going to have to rebuild the app and everything. So that sort of thing is going to take a lot of time, especially when it's an unpaid venture, right? Everybody's kind of working for free there. I have no idea the timetable. I don't have that kind of inside info, but I think the UI is different at a foundational level. So I don't know if skinning will ever be the same as it was, and people need to be prepared for that. I hope next year they make it more moddable, because that was one of the best parts about FM, was the ability to tailor your experience to what you valued. As for Nugan, we'll wait for the full release of the game and see if it's compatible. If it's not, then we have to figure out if it's possible with the new game structure. P.S. The court case is pending. Have you ever tried looking for the top scorer of the league you play in? Stuff like this is obviously pretty annoying and a huge step back from past FMs. Is there contact between you and SI regarding stuff like this? Content creators played the game way before the public. What was the feedback you gave there? How have SI reacted to it? There is a Sports Interactive Football Manager content creator Discord server. This is not just for, me, Dr. Benji, Work the Space, and Lujo to hang out in. This is, content creators from all different languages and different mediums, and it's something that's very common. Is somebody like me that streams multiple games, for example, I am also in the Rust content creators Discord server, right? This is a very normal thing that brands do. And part of the agreement when you go into the Discord server is that you are not able to discuss what is discussed in the Discord server. This is so that the brand can speak freely and other people can speak freely too. So yes, there is contact between SI and the content creator community around these certain things, beyond just me making a video and hoping that they see it. Content creators played the game way before the public. What was the feedback you gave there? Again, obviously the feedback was in that Discord server, but the feedback that we give now is not constrained in any way anymore. And so whatever you're hearing people mention publicly now would basically be what they were saying earlier. You know what I mean? You can extrapolate. There's no limitations on what I'm saying to you now about the game and answering these other questions. As saying we played the game way before the public, it kind of depends. I mean, I don't really know. To be perfectly honest, I know when I was able to get access to the alpha, and obviously I made one YouTube video of it and then did one 90-minute stream. It wasn't like I was sitting there with the game 2 months ago, and there is a different group of people that's used to, I would say, quality test things. But that I honestly don't know for sure. That's just a guess on my part. There is contact, yeah. SI, like a lot of gaming companies, has a creator Discord server for all types of creators from different languages, but you're not allowed to discuss what's mentioned in those conversations. The public feedback from creators now is not limited by this at all, though, so whatever people are saying is genuine feedback. I don't think SI is saying a whole lot right now, just kind of taking it on the chin and trying to figure things out. They probably should be saying more. We'll see if they do. Is there any transparency from SI yet regarding all the useless space in tabs, tiles, cards, text not being shown efficiently? Any hope they fix a lot of these things when it releases the 4th of November on consoles too? Also, anything known about how it plays on console? No, I have not had, I've never played Football Manager on console, not one time in my entire life, which I probably should change that at some point, but I just haven't. And I don't think there's been any direct communication from SI about the empty spaces. Personally, I think the base UI in terms of visually, where how information is represented visually, not the way, the smoothness or the clicking or whatever. I think the visual representation of information is better on this FM than it used to be. I don't know if you ever remember looking at the base skin, before you reskinned the old Football Managers, but the use of space was a lot worse than it is now. Not that I've heard. I doubt there will be a big change to the basic structure of the UI because they'll be so focused on bugs right now. I do think the use of space is better than it was. Those old base skins on past FMs had diabolically poor use of space. Did you ever talk to SI or your unofficial contacts working there about community test findings indicating time and time again that certain player attributes seemingly don't matter at all, or at least have only very, very limited impact on match outcomes compared to meta attributes? If so, what did they say about it? Yeah, I actually have. This was a while ago, obviously. I think it was more than a year ago that I did all that testing, and I know the Reddit was doing some testing too that was guiding my testing in terms of extreme attribute combinations. And if I remember the response, having talked to a bunch of different people at SI about it, the response was basically that the goal is to get a match engine that handles all normal situations well first, and then attempt to create a match engine that can handle these abnormal situations. But essentially, the idea was that those sorts of tests were creating abnormal situations, situations that you wouldn't come across normally. So, players that have 1 in everything and then 20 in 4 different attributes, and how does the match engine react to that? Obviously, it's not a fully satisfying answer because I still feel like there are some attributes that are overpowered, but I get the base principle of the argument. I have, yes, a while ago, but on multiple occasions. The gist of the response was that they focus on balancing the match engine on more realistic situations, so not one-touch 20-pace scenarios, then expand out. This isn't a great answer because I still feel like some of the attributes are obviously overpowered compared to real life, but I understand the idea of what they're saying. I guess they're hoping you don't try to break the game. What are your favorite toppings on a baked potato? Finally! This is the question that I was looking for. Sour cream, butter, salt, and pepper. Boom. Absolutely. Don't need to mix it up. Don't need to get crazy. Don't need to get fancy. What kind of feedback usually gets given to SI, and do they appear to take it on board? I struggle to imagine some of the YouTube guys sitting in the office playing a playtest and not getting on to them about the general poor designs of stadiums. The stupid long and identical substitute benches in every stadium, etc. This year, Old Trafford and the Emirates have no corner stands, is another example. All right, the stadium stuff, I've honestly never really raised that with them. I know they don't have the licenses to the stadium, so it's probably in their best interest to just leave the corners open to avoid any potential legal funny business that they may have to deal with out of that. But obviously, if I'd ever participated in anything like this, I would not be able to talk about it. You'd know that. And I'll be upfront with you guys that's just not something that I would be able to talk about at all if I'd ever been involved in it. But as for do SI appear to take this sort of stuff on board, I've obviously had a lot of interactions with SI. I think a lot of the people that work at Sports Interactive want the game to be great, and they understand the frustrations that a lot of people may have. But I think that Sports Interactive as a company just moves very slowly in all of those directions. But to answer the question, I do think they take it on board. It's just how quickly they digest it once they take it on board, if that makes sense. Sometimes it can take years, right? Obviously, if I was involved in those situations, I wouldn't be able to talk about them. But I do think most of the people I've met at SI genuinely want to make the game better and sympathize with a lot of concerns. So I think it's taken on board. It just takes a while for SI to process those concerns because the company tends to move very slowly and cautiously. As for the stadiums, that's all licensing. I'm sure it's all up to legal telling them to just avoid being similar to the real-life stadiums at all. Do you think it's acceptable that PES 6 still has better graphics than FM26? No. Honestly, I don't. And I can't get in trouble for getting the game delayed again because the beta has already been released. I do think that it is wild that a game as big and as popular and as influential as Football Manager still has pretty bad graphics overall, but I think it's important to acknowledge that even though they're not up to what I would consider the industry standard, there has been a giant step taken in the right direction. How do I write that? Do you peel a banana from the top or the bottom? I actually peel a banana from the bottom. I had a mom that worked at a zoo. She was a vet tech and kind of assisted with the zoo, and so I spent a lot of time watching the monkeys at the zoo. And if anybody knows how to open a banana, it's a monkey, and they open it from the bottom. And trust me, when you try it, it's life-changing. It is so much easier, particularly with more ripe bananas. This is a life-changing moment for somebody that's watching this video, I promise. You've mentioned a few times, paraphrasing in the past, that you know you have an outsized influence on the game. You know the developers, you've spoken to Miles, you know that if you create some content or say something particular on stream, it can go viral and affect the people at SI, for better or for worse. Is this something you enjoy? Or do you wish, say, that you could happily create content for this game, making a living, but magically isolate your outsized impact to your community? Two questions. My second question, over the years, there's been a degree of disdain towards the wider streaming content creator communities. On the forums, for example, you'll sometimes see digs like Streamer X is only doing this to create drama for views, or recently on here, they're accused of being too positive to keep that symbiotic relationship with SI going. Do you think that the overall streaming content creator community is becoming disconnected from both sides, like a third wheel between SI and the wider community? All right, those are two massive, incredibly loaded questions. So thank you. I'll do my best to answer both of them because this really gets to the core of why I feel like I'm making this video in a lot of ways. As for the first question, is it something I enjoy to have this kind of apparent influence? Sometimes yes and sometimes no is the honest truth. I mean, wouldn't it be great, hypothetically, if you're watching this video, to be playing your favorite game and have a strong opinion about something you believe is not right in that game, and then be able to make a video about it and know that they're going to see it, right? And know that you're going to be able to kind of force the issue around that. That is great. But at the same time, I can't say the first thing that pops into my head, right? If I'm on stream, for example, and I run into 3 straight bugs or something and I get really annoyed, you can't just go on some long rant or shut the game off, or you have to be more measured. And I think this extends out even beyond just me and Football Manager, just being a YouTuber or content creator in general. You always have to watch yourself, right? Because there are always a lot of people watching you. And especially for me now around the launch of the game, I absolutely have to watch myself. And in some ways it's exhausting. And so I do enjoy the ability to impact the game when I want to. I don't enjoy how impactful my random feelings can become when I'm not really paying attention to what those random feelings are. Right? The disdain towards streamers and YouTubers for doing this to create views or doing this being too positive or whatever. I don't think people understand how dumb of an idea it is to make Football Manager content. If I was purely in the content creation game for the money, then I would be trying to replicate what Mr. Beast is doing. If I wanted to do it in gaming, then you probably want to be playing Minecraft or something, a game that basically everybody in the world plays, right? If you are a content creator in Football Manager, you really are a sicko for Football Manager, right? You are a sicko for it. And relative to other streaming and gaming communities, there is not a lot of drama in the Football Manager space. As to the being too positive thing, I think there's two parts to this. One, I think if you know people, right, and that I obviously have been invited to the SI studios, I know the people that are there, I know the people that work on the game, you are typically more reserved when it comes to criticizing them, just because you actually know them. There's a face, right? If you're just somebody that logs onto Reddit, you open the game, you can't find your youth team tactics, and you just flip a right? Because you go, oh, this is crazy, I can't find my youth team tactics. You can just drop some nukes on Reddit. For me, I know the people, right? And so it's always harder to criticize people that you know, typically. But the flip side of that is the idea that they're being we are being too positive to try and keep some sort of symbiotic relationship with SI going. I don't really get a lot from SI. I don't. I make my videos, I do my streams. Sure, maybe if I decided to go full scorched earth because I just decided FM26 was the worst game ever released and it's a scumbag money grab operation, then I probably wouldn't get the alpha. I wouldn't be surprised if I didn't get the alpha. But outside of that, It's not like SI is propping up everything that I do. I really can't stress enough how little communication there is on a regular basis between someone like me and Sports Interactive. It's not a very common thing. Yes and no. I do enjoy the ability to passionately tell the makers of my favorite game why some part of the game should be fixed, but it's also exhausting to always have to watch what you say because you want to make sure it comes off the right way. Answer to question 2. Football Manager is not a game you make content around for the money or whatever. It's a game for sickos, and if you get into making content around it, you are a top-tier sicko. As for the symbiotic relationship between SI and creators, I really don't communicate with them much at all. It's not like SI props any of us up by feeding us content all year. We just get the alpha sometimes. There's nothing stopping any creator from calling the game horrible if they feel that way. I think the game this year is just super polarizing, and I try to be objective. It's good questions. What do you think is the biggest current specific part that is lacking in FM26? More minor things. No need to dig your nails into the UI like everyone is currently. I think the biggest thing that's lacking in FM26 right now is it is not smooth at all. It is clunky. Right, screens load in weird ways. It's not very well optimized. It feels like it just hasn't been put together long enough for it to have time to gel and be smooth. The biggest thing that really brings you out of FM26 is that it's clunky. It's clunky. It just doesn't run smooth, and that makes every part of the game harder to enjoy. It needs some serious optimization. A break from FM26. What's the next country you'd like to visit to make another video like your Faroe Islands one? Oh, Hidden Grounds. Let's go. That was fantastic. YouTube needs more content like that. I appreciate that a lot. Those documentaries are my number one passion. Right? I obviously love Football Manager. I've been at this. I've played 12,000 hours of Football Manager, so let's not get ahead of ourselves. But I do love making those documentaries. I think a dream for me, the number one dream has been Greenland. There's the Greenland Cup every summer, and I really would love to finally have the opportunity to go cover that at some point. Is Zealand your actual name? Yes. Yes, it is. A lot of people seem to not know that, but Zealand is my government first name. That is my name. It's not a nickname. I didn't change my name. My parents named me Zealand, and I decided to use that as a stream name. It's not my first stream name. Only real OGs will know what my first stream name was. What do you think is worse, the removed missing features dumbing the game down for console users or the hundreds of bugs? And do you think the features will be replaced and the bugs fixed? I think the bugs are worse. I think some of the features were removed from the game because they wanted to reintroduce them to the game in the right way. So those features that, I don't know what features you're referring to, could come back. International management being a great example. They're going to add it back in a patch or whatever. I think the bugs are the bigger issue because that is what is going to keep me and a lot of other people from being able to hopefully enjoy the game this year now that we finally have, great graphics and this new Unity engine and everything. I think the bugs will be fixed. I think it will take way longer than just the 10-day beta. What is your honest take on the game? I'm more excited for what Football Manager is going to be 3 years from now than what it is right now. I think FM24 is a better game than what FM26 is right now. But as I said earlier, I think Football Manager 26, and now that they've moved it over to Unity, I think it has much higher potential than it did previously. It's just apparently going to take them a lot longer to reach that potential than maybe we hope. I'm really excited for what the game will be in 3 years, but it's clear it's going to take them a while to get things clicking on the Unity engine. Many of you legit have a big problem, probably. Let's get some positivity in here. All right, apart from the graphics, upgrades, and the improved tactics, what's your favorite feature of the new game? Mine is just having faces and licensing by standard for a lot more things. My favorite feature in the new game is the matches. There are so many new animations, there's the graphics, the atmosphere of the matches are so much better, and honestly, I'm very excited to get in and sign Wonder Kids and see those Wonder Kids be able to make these amazing plays in this new visual world that we're living in. It's still the match engine is the best part of the game right now, and it's not close. Oh, it's the match engine for sure. It's a huge improvement and really enjoyable to watch. Do you think the bugs will be ironed out by the full release? No. There's no way. There's absolutely no way they're going to patch it all. Despite the criticisms, thinking long term, do you feel like SI are on the right track with this version of FM, or is FM 2.0 dead on arrival? I do think they're on the right track. I think a couple questions ago we were talking about this a little bit. I think they're on the right track. I don't think it's dead on arrival. And really the main reason I don't think it's dead on arrival is because the vast majority of people that are going to play this game haven't played it yet. I think they are on the right track, slower than me and you would like, but the right track nonetheless. Definitely not dead on arrival. The vast majority of people that will play FM26 haven't played it yet. Do you not feel any shame for recommending this game to your audience? I appreciate that you have a bias due to getting earlier access from SI and have financial incentives on this game succeeding, but the lack of integrity to call out the devs and SI for botching this game is shocking. So no, I don't feel any shame because I didn't recommend the game. I gave the alpha a rating a 9 out of 10 in my alpha review video. I played the game for 90 minutes and I was very optimistic even though I noticed there were a lot of bugs. Then when I got into the beta on stream, I realized that a lot of those bugs were still there, and then I found a lot more screens that were entirely unfinished, and I gave the beta a 5 or a 6. And as you probably noticed throughout the rest of this video, I am very aware that Football Manager 26 is not going to go down in the pantheon as a brilliant game. I've never quite understood this. Because to be perfectly honest, if I wanted to sit here and print money from my computer, I would use everything that I know about content creation to make Minecraft videos, and you would never see me again. So that's not the main incentive of what I am doing. I want to play Football Manager. I love playing Football Manager, and I want the game of Football Manager to be as awesome as it can be. And I think all of us are aware of the fact that this game can be amazing. Unfortunately, in the process of getting there, we are now in this moment in time. But I think the number one thing with all of these types of takes is the idea that somehow getting slightly earlier access to the game is something that would literally allow SI to operate me like a puppet, and that is just so far from how any of this works. If you recall, a couple of years ago, I had an actual showdown with Sports Interactive that had them replying in the comments of my YouTube videos after I called them liars for basically misrepresenting how the dynamic youth rating was going to work. So no to just this. Well, I didn't recommend the game. I gave the alpha a 9 out of 10 after playing for 90 minutes because I love the potential of it. After cracking open the beta and playing for 10 hours, I realized the UI was unfinished and lots of bugs were still there, so I gave it a 5.5. I have no financial incentives to lie about the game. If I made videos crushing the game, I would get more views, and no one gets into FM for the money anyways. I also cannot stress enough how little my relationship with SI factors into anything. Getting to play the alpha a bit early doesn't instantly turn every content creator into a puppet for SI to use however they want, you know? Most importantly, I don't make a final judgment of the game until it's actually released. So no, I don't feel shame about me just playing the game and saying my thoughts on it. What's your best advice for making tactics from scratch with any team? Take preset tactics and tweak them slightly to try and augment what your players already do well. Do you think despite its flaws that we owe it to SI to support FM26? In the sense that there's a bold vision there, but there is a long way to still go. And maybe it won't be until the next few games that we get there. No, I don't think you should ever feel an obligation to spend your hard-earned money on a game that you're not going to enjoy playing. I think it's the job of the game studio to make a game that they release that you get your money's worth out of. So you should not buy the game just out of an obligation to support Sports Interactive. They're a huge company. They'll be okay. Will you please start a petition for an official database update for FM24? FM26 is unacceptable for PC players. So that's never going to happen for like a billion reasons. If they didn't do an official database update the following year, they're definitely never going to do one now. You're just going to have to live with whatever FM25 DLCs that you have downloaded, and maybe there will be corners of the internet that keep those things up to date and just rip the data from the newest FM and put it into FM24's engine. Have you in the past, or would you in the future, ever date a girl named Shannon, or is that too awkward for a long-term relationship? So my last name is Shannon, as is publicly available information, or else I wouldn't be telling you people. No, I've always thought this would be funny. No, I have never dated somebody named Shannon, but I do think it would be funny. If you actually want to be in a relationship with a person, I think their name would probably be the dumbest thing to stop you from that. Do you think FM should have worked with content creators during this massive change to the game that was happening, moving to Unity? Yes, I think that Sports Interactive should have come to me and asked me for all of my opinions and then allowed me to single-handedly make the game over the next 5 years. For some reason, they didn't do that. Are you a child of divorce? No. Actually, my parents are basically soulmates. They're awesome. I had a very loving family growing up. Some of you might know my mom. She goes by MomBot in the Twitch chat. She's a moderator. But no, I'm not a child of divorce. Who are you? It's a fair question, I guess. I am a Football Manager-centric YouTuber and Twitch streamer who happens to be the most followed Football Manager content creator in the world. So that's how I ended up here. I'll just type Zealand. If you got invited to SI's offices to interview Miles, what would you ask him? Why? No, just kidding. What would I ask Miles if I got invited to ask him a question? Maybe I should ask him this question. This question's a good question. Miles, what would you ask yourself? I got a good one. I would ask Miles after the debacle with trying to transition the code from whatever it was from C something to C++, or I don't understand coding at all, but I've talked to people that do, and they basically said that Sports Interactive's assumption of how long it would take to transition the code was incredibly wrong. I would ask Miles if he's made any changes to the kind of back-end coding team to make sure that they're able to properly handle those situations in the future. I found a lot of the drama to be overreactions, which has drowned out legitimate criticism and praise. What's been your favorite part of the new FM? So I feel like I've already answered that, but I do agree with this. I think that some of the reaction has been over dramatic, mainly because the memes are hilarious. I mean, I think, obviously, I've talked extensively about what I think about the game. It's not very good right now. I like the potential. I like the direction more than I liked the direction previously, whatever. But the memes about the game being bad and stuff are all hilarious. And I do think that in some ways tends to amplify an over-dramatic reaction because people want to make funny memes. Not related to FM, but if you could give one piece of advice to someone wanting to get into streaming and video making as a hobby, not with the intent to necessarily being a job, what would it be? I mean, if you want to do it as a hobby, then clearly you're passionate about something that you'd want to stream and make videos about. So just get involved in that community on Reddit, on Instagram, on Twitter, wherever, right? On streams, go into different streams and just start, talking to people, engaging with streamers or replying to videos or replying to tweets, literally whatever it is around that topic, people that you enjoy watching, and then try and build up a little community of people that you kind of hang out with and start making videos and streams for those people. But if it's as a hobby, just do whatever makes you happy. I've been watching your streams, and your main defense for the horrible amount of bugs and the poor design choices is that you see the vision. Without being as extremely condescending as usual, I understand it's hard whilst on the SI payroll. All right. Can you please provide an explanation for what this vision is? Oh, they want me to not be as extremely condescending as usual in explaining to them what this vision is, considering you use it in 80% of your speeches justifying this poor quality product that SI has released. So we'll start with me being on SI's payroll. I'm not. No creator is. I don't think that would make any business sense at all. Not only are we not on SI's payroll, I'm not on SI's payroll. SI does not at all tell me what to say. I'm sure that if I went scorched earth and I think I've said this already in this video, if I went scorched earth and made a video about how terrible SI is and personally attacking the people that work there, they probably wouldn't want to give me early access to the alpha a few days early, right? But outside of that, I mean, there is no serious relationship there. So we can just take that and put that off to one side. I'm sorry. You obviously don't like me very much. So I'm sorry for whatever I did to make you not like me, because that sucks. But the vision is basically that Sports Interactive took a giant leap. They obviously did. This is a very conservative company that barely changed the game every year. But the vision is essentially that the game now has much higher potential than it did, to use a football manager metaphor. So Sports Interactive is a very conservative company. They have been very conservative for a long time. They make very small incremental changes. They took a huge swing on moving to Unity, right? And that swing is something that I really appreciate because the game has way higher potential now. Even though the game is riddled with bugs and clearly not finished, right now you can still see and feel that potential when you go into a match, right? In certain aspects of the UI that do run smoothly, you can feel that, in my opinion. Again, I am just a dude with an opinion. You are also a dude with an opinion. So you're welcome to have a different one from that. But I think just trying to be as objective as I can here, I appreciate that they've taken this big step to go to the Unity engine. And I hope that in a couple of years, they will have ironed out all of the, issues that have apparently popped up in making that transition. Because right now, it's probably the buggiest beta that I've ever played. And the UI has taken me a while to get even used to and try and figure out where things are and whatever. So, but I'm not part of Sports Interactive's PR department. I'm not offering a defense for what they're doing. I'm offering my opinion on what I think is happening and then I'm telling you how I feel about it. But there's no defense going on here. I prefer Zealandism. Now that guy knows what he's talking about there. Finally, the truth comes out. And then there's this one. I saved this one till the very end because it was the most upvoted one and it said, I doubt it'll get picked. I doubt it'll get picked, but might as well. What do you think is the role of streamers when it comes to FM, especially in situations like this one? Beyond the main one, which is that it's your job, whether fully or part-time, and that you make money out of engaging with us. Right. I talked about this on stream a little bit earlier. I'll take a while to answer this question if that's okay. I do not like the idea of making money that I am taking from viewers. I appreciate subs and donations and everything, but my whole goal as a creator was always to make all of the money that I needed to pay my staff, to pay me, to afford my incredibly expensive haircuts from ads, from ads on YouTube videos, from maybe sponsors that I work with, whatever. I never wanted the money to come from you guys. So yes, this is my job now, but that's only because naturally, as a part of making all of these videos, I am able to make enough money for it to be my job. And then obviously we have a staff as well that work with all the channels that we have that are paid from all of that ad revenue. So that's a part of the monetary side of things, that at least the way I think about it. We were talking about it on stream the other day. But what is the role of streamers? I think that this is a question that people have asked about politicians a lot. What would you rather a streamer do? And this is a question about politicians. Would you rather the politician represent the opinion of the majority of people that they are representing? Or would you rather the politician do what they think is best as the person that you elected into that position? That's like a philosophical debate that I remember having in college, in history class. And I think it's kind of applicable here too, in that would you rather a streamer just tell you what they're actually thinking or attempt to reflect what they believe the community is thinking? Those are your two options. I've always gone for option one. I try to be very honest with the way that I interact with you guys. That has led to me being called a shill. Obviously, it has also led to me getting into open war with Football Manager over the dynamic youth rating. When I got a phone call from the director of communications at SI, who's no longer there, cussing me out over the phone. So, I mean, I've been on all sides of this, right? And I think that streamers don't really have a role. I'm as surprised as some of you are that so many people wait to hear what I have to say to form their opinion on something. I think that, I can sit there and look at Reddit and go, oh, well, Reddit's this echo chamber that kind of creates this response. I think I'm capable of doing the same thing. If I get on stream and say something, then a lot of people are going to agree with it. In the same way that if a post goes viral on Reddit, you're going to create this kind of, it's the same force. It's that internet community force. So I think streamers' role in this is to try and be as honest as possible, but to also be open to other people's opinions, because I am but a man. I am literally just another dude that plays Football Manager. And so my opinion has changed multiple times since the beta came out a couple of days ago, based off conversations I've had on stream and whatever else. So let me stick the landing here and give you an actual answer. What do I think is the role of streamers when it comes to FM? I think the role of streamers when it comes to FM is to create a live conversation space. The best role that streamers can have is to create a live conversation space where people can talk about how they feel about the game. Personally, what I want my role to be is not that. I want to play Football Manager and tell amazing, awesome stories in Football Manager. That is something I'm passionate about. That is what I want to do. So that's what I want my role to be. But as a part of that, as being the Football Manager guy, right? You got to make sure you don't drink any Kool-Aid, right? You don't want to go so hard in one direction and then wake up and look around one day and realize you're actually wrong. But you also need to be honest. That's just how I look at it. But this is a question and a topic that I think every content creator in a game that has had a significant voice in that game has grappled with. But one thing that you can trust me for is that I am never going to be put in a position where I am being told what to say around Football Manager. Obviously, with things like the Creator Discord, I might just not be able to talk about some things, but I am never going to say something that I don't genuinely mean. I can promise you that. It's a fantastic question and a great question to end on. I have no idea how I'm going to type out that response. I'll figure it out, but you don't need to hear me read it out. I'll see you guys on stream. If you have some question that somehow we didn't get to here, feel free to ask it on stream. I got you.